I wasn't 100% clear of what you were selling, so that could be on me. I get that, but I do that on purpose because not everybody's gonna go through the newsfeed and watch your entire video ad. They're gonna go right to the funnel. This is just a reality of what it is. Hey, what's going on? Ben Street here, and welcome to another episode of Ad Roulette, where we critique ads and funnels following this simple 3-part framework that you're looking at here on the screen. So here's how it works. My team, we just get to scrolling on Instagram because every third or fourth post is an ad. We find 2 ads, we find 2 funnels, then we critique them to make them better, and then we pick a winner. And it's your job to let me know if I picked the right one. With that being said, let the games begin. Drum roll, please. All right, so here we go. AI marketing mastery. Awesome, video ads, I love it. This is a 1-to-1 video ad ratio, meaning it's more like a square. I love these types of ads. So the first thing we wanna do when it comes to ads, we wanna look at the messaging. All right, now when it comes to messaging, we have to always remember, specifically with video ads, okay, the ads, they start playing muted. So if you're scrolling through your newsfeed and you see a video ad, it's just gonna start playing. So the messaging has to essentially provide information about the ad, telling me, the viewer, what's going on without actually being able to hear what the video is saying. So as you can see right here from a messaging perspective, on the top it says how to beat any control in your funnel without split testing. So how to beat any control in your funnel without split testing, just kind of thinking out loud. I'm not quite honestly sure what he means by that. Okay, maybe I'm missing something, but I think that could definitely be a little bit clearer. However, that's why you have the video to help support the messaging when it comes to the creative. All right, now what the video has to do in this sense, which I'm assuming he was trying to do here, was be clear so the viewer knows what's going on, but for whatever reason, I'm not so sure, the video has to fully support the messaging. So let's go ahead and play the video and see what the creative has to say here.
I had this realization. What we're doing with split testing is kind of like what airplane engineers used to do 100 years ago. Back then, if they wanted to test a new wing design, they would build the entire physical airplane, take it out to the field, try to fly it, and if it didn't work, it would crash and burn. It was incredibly expensive, incredibly dangerous, and incredibly slow. Every failed test meant starting over from scratch and losing everything they'd invested. But then everything changed when computers came along. Instead of building physical airplanes and risking crashes, engineers could now simulate everything first. They could test thousands of wing designs, engine configurations, and flight patterns in a computer simulation. They could optimize everything before spending money on materials, before risking a crash, and before months of trial and error. And here's the breakthrough. That's exactly what we've now done for marketing and our sales funnels. Split testing your funnels with real traffic.
All right, cool. So this is pretty interesting. You know, it started off a little bit slow, and he was essentially comparing how they used to test airplanes by, obviously back in the day, you had to build everything, and then obviously, you know, I'm assuming that would cost a lot of money, and you would test it, and if it crashed, I mean, you were just out of that airplane. But today, okay, you can obviously split test and figure things out without losing a lot of money. So I think that's what he was going for when he said here, how to beat any control in your funnel without split testing. I'm assuming he's saying there's a way to effectively test multiple ads without split testing so you know which one is better. But I'm still having to kind of assume that's what he's saying, right? So with that being said, okay, with the messaging being, in my opinion, a little bit unclear for me, the video ad did a better job of explaining what he was getting at. Now, the third part, the copy, it has to come through, right? It has to really explain what's going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at the copy. All right, so it says, here's the unspoken reason it's so hard to profitably scale your marketing funnels in 2025. All right, so he went with what we're seeing a lot more of, which is, you know, a couple sentences, in this case, one sentence, to do what you want most ads to do, which is drive the click. All right, so here's the unspoken reason it's so hard to profitably scale your marketing funnels in 2025, and what he's hoping is the person says, you know, well, it's not really telling me what it is here. That means I have to click, all right? He also used book now, okay? So that's telling me that this is likely gonna be a book or call funnel, which you don't see a lot. You see more of the learn more. Okay, interesting. All right, so I see what's going on here, and now the moment of truth, let's go ahead and take a look at the funnel. All right, so when it comes to the funnel, okay, you want the funnel to be a continuation from what you saw in the ad. right? So if I'm honest, you know, the booker call, I'm obviously assuming this is a booker call. I'm still not 100% clear on what he's offering. However, I can assume that it's something to do with a way to really figure out what's happening with your ads without having to do a ton of split testing. Well, you can see that he has the branding on the top, the AI Marketing Mastery little brand here on the top. And then we want to go ahead and take a look at the headline. Again, that needs to be a continuation from what you saw from the ad. So it says here, please fill out the questions below to schedule your call, okay? Now, it didn't mention anything in the call in the copy, although the button did say book now. Obviously, we didn't listen to the entire video ad, so it is possible that at the end of the video, he said, hey, you know, watch this training or come to the next page and book a call. And underneath, you have the subheadline. After you fill out the form below, you'll be taken to a calendar where you can select a day and time. So scroll down a little bit further. I mean, obviously, there's a big image there. I don't know if that's supposed to be a video. It just says CMF, SAAS. BAC. I have no idea if that's supposed to be a video, if that's some type of error here or whatnot, or if that's the name of the thing that he's offering. A lot of confusion. Remember, when I'm watching and I'm looking at these ads and funnels, I'm looking at these ads and funnels as a complete stranger, a person that has no idea, in terms of looking at it from the perspective of a person that has no idea what funnels are, and I'm just scrolling through my news feed. So remember, I clicked, I'm still a little confused of what it was, right? So now I'm clicking here and I just see, obviously, this, you know, a subhead, a headline and a subhead telling me to fill out a form, and then a button that says start, and then this big area here with really nothing on it. So let's go ahead and click start. All right, so now it takes me to the application. Now, obviously, this is where he begins the application for me to book a call. Right now, at this point, there's a little confusion on my end of what I'm actually booking a call for. Again, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt that, you know, I didn't listen to the entire video ad. Maybe he did all the selling from there. And if I did listen to it, then I would have been clear and then obviously book a call and it would all work out. However, you have to always remember that not everyone, just like I just did, is gonna listen to everything in the ad. They're gonna click through. So we have to do our best to essentially support it with the page headline and the creative. So if you go back, if you X off the application, okay, the page headline, if you scroll up to the top, okay, we can see that, you know, there's the branding on the top and then the please fill out the questions below as the headline. It doesn't really tell me much about what I'm gonna get from the page headline perspective. And then the creative and the copy here, it's just this kind of like big white image with CMF and then SAAS, BAC there in terms of text. I'm not sure what that is, but the real problem I see here is the fact that, you know, there's no button. So scroll down. If I come down, I have to scroll down to see start. Now, again, depending on the phone, maybe this shows. So I'm gonna give them a benefit of the doubt if we're looking at it right here. You can hit the start button and begin the application process. All right, but from a page headline perspective, not sure how much it continued on outside of from the book now text on the button of what to do, and there's not really an explanation from the copy creative. So this definitely could, in my opinion, use some work from a clarity perspective on the funnel, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and get to the next ad. Drum roll, please. All right, so we have Ad World Prime. Cool, so again, like every ad, we have to always assume that this is just popping up in the person's news feed. They have no idea what Ad World Prime is, and it's our job from a messaging perspective to essentially provide some information about what's happening without actually having to listen or hear what's going on in the video. Remember, it's muted, right? So we can see very clear Ad World Prime membership now, some type of membership site. I can put 2 and 2 together, and obviously Ad World Prime, something about ads, helping me with ads. Obviously, you can see the Ultimate Ad Creative Playbook. So it's giving off what it needs to in terms of from a messaging perspective, that this has something to do with helping me as a business owner potentially run better ads, all right? Right, we wanna make sure that the creative leaves no doubt, it's extremely clear, identifies the problems, and gets me to essentially the next step, which would be to obviously click on the button. So let's go ahead and listen to the ad. Okay, so this looks like it's an ad that's essentially just a lot of B-roll and music in the back, and it's heavily dependent on all of the animations and the text on the screen. Create, test, iterate, scale, repeat. And obviously it looks like it's some kind of monthly fee, Ad World Prime membership now. Okay, cool. I mean, it's you can put 2 and 2 together and figure out what this is. But let's go ahead and look at the copy. We want the copy to really support everything here to bring it all home. All right, so you can see it says here, unlock the Ultimate Ad Creatives 2025 Playbook playlist exclusive to Ad World Prime. All right, so this looks like it's something that's gonna help individuals who want help with their creatives when it comes to ads, which is a huge problem for a lot of advertisers. As if you watch a lot of these episodes of Ad Roulette, you'll see that a lot of times the creative and what people are doing with ads, they struggle. So it goes into more information of what you're gonna get. You'll deep dive into sessions like the 1, 2, 3 of UGC. So it sounds like they're gonna give you different, people's talks from Ad World, right? Because Ad World is like an event. It used to have to be a big event for advertisers. You can see how to produce 10x ad creatives with AI by Alex Cooper, from zero to viral. So that's cool. It's going through some of the things you're going to get. And the best part, these ad creative templates and blueprints are relevant for all, from startups to enterprises, designed to plug and play. So it's giving more information, so really clear of what this is all about. But let's keep scrolling down. Let's see if there's a CTA or anything within the copy. Sign up today and save $840 a year. So it's letting you know that you can get all of this at a pretty good discount here today. Awesome. So we're going to take a look at the funnel. All right, so again, from a funnel perspective, the first thing we want to look at is the page headline. And I've been saying this a lot recently. I feel like a lot of people are failing to really optimize their sites for mobile. 99% of the traffic, it's coming from mobile. The way I can tell is that when you see like not a lot of copy, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of a lot of copy, that's taking up a lot of space, right? That could easily be 3 lines. And to me, I bet you this looks perfect on a desktop computer, but you're taking up a lot of space and pushing everything down on mobile. That could easily be 3 lines to make it, and honestly, probably less copy. But you got the branding Ad World Prime, grab the Ultimate Ad Creatives Playbook that will maximize ROAS and skyrocket profits in 2025. And then it looks like it has some of the presenters there of what you're gonna get. And then a lot of information in terms of the subhead, right? Now, I would basically call this the creative, kind of combined with the page headline, right? It's all in one. But there's a lot going on. I talk about this a lot, specifically for mobile. And again, I guarantee you can go ahead and X off in the pop. I guarantee you that this looks looks perfect probably on a desktop computer. But again, 99% of traffic is coming from mobile. You see how there's so much copy here where it says turn cold traffic into customers with your revamped creative strategy backed by insider frameworks, plug and play templates, and AI prompts from 7 top performance marketers only on Ad World Prime. All right, so this is obviously excellent copy. However, it's a lot. I have to physically take my eyes and read through all of that to understand what's going on. I think like what I saw in one of our prior ads, if there was like a little clip from each one of their talks and there was a video there. So imagine pushing all this up and that these people right here, there was a video, maybe a little piece of each one of their talk where you can scroll through and it could kind of talk about what each person was sharing in that talk and that you were going to get it would be cool. Down here, you can see the save 60% now. Now, what I'm not sure of is if that's a button to make this mobile friendly, because the creative, and obviously as I said earlier, the page headline is all combined, but let's go ahead and click on the save 60% now. Okay, so when you click on that, it looks like it takes us to, go ahead and scroll down. It looks like it then took us to another part of the website, kind of pushed you down to where you can get your yearly membership, $23 a month, $39 a month. Okay. All right, I can't hate on this because although it is an extra step, it is mobile friendly, the button, and it's really clear, 60% off is right there, mobile friendly. All right, cool. A lot of good stuff here with both funnels. There's a lot going on. I would probably try to simplify this specifically for mobile, but again, people sometimes want to test a lot of copy. I'm more of a person that tries to save more by saying less, meaning less copy guy, but I get it. Okay, cool. You know what time it is? It's time to pick a winner. Hey, now before we get to the winner of this episode of Ad Roulette, I know it's good. If you are running ads to a webinar or a VSL funnel, check out my members area inside my eBoop account. I want to show you how we're getting 50 to 79% conversions on our funnels, driving traffic to regular webinar and VSL funnels, and how we're using eBoop to do it. So if you click on the link in the description of this video, you can check out our quick VSL. It'll explain more about eBoop. It'll take your funnel game to a whole new level. All right, with that being said, let's get back to the episode. All right, so let's go ahead and start with AI marketing mastery. All right, so I thought that the ad was set up correctly. However, from the messaging perspective, for me, it was a little bit unclear. I mean, even though I read it again, how to beat any control in your funnel without split testing. I guess I'm kind of confused on what any control means, and I'm an advertiser, so that would then force me to go watch the video, right, to figure out what that is. However, remember the video starts muted, Not everybody's gonna listen to the entire video. And then at that point, if that's the case, the copy has to truly support what's going on. And in my opinion, I'm not so sure that it did. I was left a little bit confused. So from a messaging perspective, I can't give you a point because, and that's only for me. Someone else, and again, I'm an advertiser and I might be a complete fool when watching this back and they'll be like, Vince, he meant this by saying any control. However, I'm not quite understanding what he meant here. However, the video did do enough to kind of give me an idea of what this was about in terms of being able to figure out what's going on without having to do a bunch of split testing. So I am going to go ahead and give you a point on the creative for the video because I thought it's well done. Obviously, you got the 2 Comic Club awards in the back showing credibility, and obviously, you're not getting those awards unless you know what you're doing. All right, they got the book now, which again, let me know this was a booker call funnel. However, from the copy perspective, because of my own personal, not understanding exactly what this was about. Obviously, it says, here's the unspoken reason it's so hard to profitably, I think you said something about split testing. I was still a little bit confused. What I wanted was more clarity of what I was going to get by essentially booking a call because, again, I didn't watch the entire video, so I wasn't 100% clear of what you were selling, so that could be on me. I get that, but I do that on purpose because not everybody's gonna go through the newsfeed and watch your entire video ad. They're gonna go right to the funnel. This is just a reality of what it is. So for those reasons, I can't give you a point for messaging. I will give you a point for creative. However, I needed a little bit more in the copy to support what was going on based on my own personal kind of a little bit of confusion of what's going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you a 1 out of 3 when it comes to the ad. All right, now when I go over to the funnel needs to be a continuation of the ad, right? So if you come over, you see the branding, the AI marketing mastery, but then there's really nothing about what I'm getting when I'm booking a call. However, the button on the ad does say book now. We want to have something like continue to tell me why, give me a reason to book a call right now, right? This is just basically saying fill out this form. So we have to think about it. We're basically assuming that someone who's a complete stranger, cold traffic's gonna see this ad, immediately click and book. I need something else to support this, like, maybe like, it's saving me time to use this method or see how this particular method that you're gonna show me on this call is gonna help me make more money, lower my ad costs or something. Give me more than just book your call here, just in case you're in a situation like I am right now, clicking and just looking for more information before I book. All right, so from a page headline, I don't feel like it continued on what I needed to see from the ad, so I can't give you a point there. From a creative perspective, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's just a big, white box with some text on it. Again, in the words that I'm seeing on the text, I have no clue of what that actually is. All right, so I can't give you a point there. And then from a mobile friendliness, okay, I will, even though you can't see the learn more button here, I know we kind of scrolled up, the start button was there. I am going to go ahead and give you a point for the mobile friendly because depending on the phone, that start button to actually complete the application would be there. All right, so for those reasons, I will give you a point for mobile friendliness. So that gives you a 1 out of 3 when it comes to the funnel for a grand total of 2 out of 6 when we're looking at that funnel. All right, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to AdWorld Prime. All right, now also it's just important for you guys to remember, okay, when I'm grading this and I'm doing these episodes, again, I know I've said it several times, is I'm looking at this like I know nothing about digital marketing, like these ads just popped up in my newsfeed. When you're creating ads, that's what you have to assume. Now granted, this person might say, well, this was actually a retargeting ad and you're seeing it again because, and maybe you've seen something else. Again, when we're doing these episodes, I'm assuming I've never seen it before, it's cold traffic and it popped up in the newsfeed. All right, so we're looking at AdWorld Prime, again, messaging. I thought it did a good job of messaging. Remember, the video is gonna come up muted, so the messaging has to essentially give me some type of explanation or idea of what this ad is about, and it's very clear, AdWorld Prime membership, and if you're familiar with AdWorld Prime, then obviously it makes even more sense, but I thought they did a good job, even if you aren't familiar, by having enough information there to let me know that I'm gonna get information about these templates or something that's gonna help me run better ads. All right, now when I played the creative, okay, it essentially was just music supported by B-roll of the video. I thought it did a decent job of doing that. Sometimes that's hard to do because the images and the B-roll that's showing doesn't do enough to support and share with the person watching what the ad is all about. I thought it did a decent job of doing that, so I will definitely go ahead and give you a point for that. But the messaging is good, the creative was good, and then the copy is cut off here. But if I remember correctly, it was really clear, broke down all the people that were essentially going to be sharing in the presentations from AdWorld, and obviously the templates and everything that you get. From a messaging perspective, I'm going to go ahead and give it a point. From a creative perspective, I'm going to go ahead and give it a point, although I think it could be better. Okay, like I said, I think that it could be better in terms of, you know, maybe something else on the background, sharing more, but for what the ad was, I thought it did good. And what I mean by better is, I mean, it could just be a little bit clearer of what you're gonna get inside, right? Because obviously it's just scrolling through a bunch of images. And for those reasons, and very rarely, I'm gonna go ahead and give this ad a 3 out of 3. Reluctantly, because I think that from Ad World Prime, I just wanna be like, you know, just like overwhelmed from a video perspective, but I gotta be fair from the messaging, creative, and copy. It did everything it needed to do from an ad, and this should tell you that sometimes the ad could just be simple, straightforward, and still work. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the funnel. Again, the funnel has to be a continuation from the ad. All right, so we come over to the funnel, the first thing we're gonna look at is the headline, right? So you can see the branding on the top, Ad World, and then obviously you've got grab the ultimate ad creatives playbook that will maximize ROAS and skyrocket profits in 2025. So really clear of what we were gonna get, a continuation. I gave some tips on what I would personally do from a video perspective. However, the image and the subhead is acting as the creative. You can see clearly these are the different instructors. And if you read, you can kind of understand what's in there. Now on mobile, what I would try to do is I would, like I said, have one video. Maybe there's a slideshow of shorter videos of each presenter, and it's talking about what you're going to learn from each one. But in this particular instance, you have to physically read through all of the copy. I would try to shorten that down and make it something where my eyes can just look at it and understand what's going on. For example, if you look at the top main headline, although there's a lot, it's easier to see. I don't have to really force myself to read through each line. I can kind of see it and get an idea of what this is all about. Grab the Ultimate Ad Creators Playbook. I know what it's about. But if I look at the subhead, there's a lot going on. I can't do that. I have to actually, because it's mobile, it's small, go through and read all of that. Maybe you can shorten that and make that 3 lines the same way you did the top. Clear, easy to see. The button to purchase is right there. It was a 2-step. However, Save 60% now was mobile friendly. All right, I thought the page headline was fine, but because I felt like there was a lot going on in the creatives, and again, if someone has no idea what Ad World Prime is, they gotta trust that the people that they see the image is there, and you gotta force them to read through all that. Therefore, I'm not gonna give you a point because you're Ad World on the creative and copy, okay? But I will give you a point on mobile friendliness. I guess I'm being a little biased. I expect more from here, from a creative perspective. Again, remember the person is clicking there. We don't want them to have any excuses or questions about what they're gonna get, right? So right now I'm still trying to figure out what is inside this offer right here, because I have to physically read here and I gotta assume that these are all the people in the instructors. So I think there should be a video there that goes through each and every person, and then this would have definitely got a 3 out of 3. I don't like to give a lot of perfect scores. So therefore, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a 2 out of 3, which means that you get a grand total of 5 out of 6 for this ad and funnel, which means Ad World Prime, you are the winner of this episode of Ad Roulette. So in backing up a little bit, if these funnels, these are all good funnels. I bet you both of these funnels, they're making a lot of money. You know, I would definitely, if I'm doing this funnel, add something to like explain what's happening here on the top before you just ask them to book a call. Because these clicks today, they're $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 a click, right? You have to always assume that the person, just because they click, okay, they may not necessarily be understanding what's going on or be that interested if they aren't clear of what you're actually offering. All right, so always, in my opinion, try to be clear, okay, versus just trying to get the click. However, these are really a lot of lessons that we can learn from both funnels. So it's up to you guys to let me know if I picked the right winner. With that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Later.